Hello everyone, this is Mario, and this is a bit of a mic test with this game so I can use get feedback for the following games and if I need to be lower or softer. I made a bunch of videos with the previous audio and I realized that was terrible. You weren't going to be able to hear anything after a few comments, so I kind of scrapped them and I'm going to try to get a few more out there. So I wanted to show you a Terran against Protoss game for this kind of mic check. We're going to play the majority of this game on ×2, or ×4 for the early beginning. It's kind of got my standard build, but I do a little bit of a variation. I go into the 1-1-1, which is 10 supply depot, 12 barracks, 13 gas, and then a factory, and then a starport. So this game, what we're going to be facing is heavy expansion play. We're going to be focusing a little bit on harass, and we're going to show you some of the fundamentals of Mech and some of the important timings that are required. One of the reasons that I wall off at the front, and it's very important that you do this as a Mech player, is because you're susceptible to various amounts of all-ins or cheese, opening up Hellion, and it also denies any type of rushes really easily, like zealot rushes, proxy zealot rushes. You put a bunker behind really easy. It just makes it a lot more convenient for you to do this. So normally I would get a reactor in my barracks, but in this case I get a tech lab. I'm going to move it over and I'm going to drop a starport right on top of it. I can decide, do I want a Banshee, do I want a Raven, do I want a medevac? It gives me a lot more options depending on what I scout. Now remember that if you ever scout 2 gas, it's most likely going to be a cheese. 90% of the time it will be a cheese. In some form of another way. In this case, it was actually an expansion. So I prepared as normal and I got my bunker down, got a single Hellion, and I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards using one Hellion to kind of scout out the base so it gets a little faster, so that allows me to get a tech lab in case I see like Blink Stalker, get Marauder Hellion, or Marauder, or Marine Hellion Banshee. So that's been working out alright for me. So I pick up my Hellions that I've made so far. You want to make about 3. To start off with your medevac. You never really want to send more than 3 in a medevac unless you have a surplus of Hellions, or you just want to do quite a bit more damage, or you want to trade longevity on your Hellions so that if one dies you can keep one-shotting workers. But normally the amount I take is 3. I'm expanding inside of my own base and getting a second factory, scouting them out, checking the buildings that's going on, and you see me do a little bit of a harass here. One of the important things that you have to note about harass is that you don't necessarily want to lose your units. It's alright to trade them, but you have to remember that you're trading army supply for mineral supply, and this can be detrimental. Because if he realizes that you have a small army, you can do a counterattack. So the goal is to not lose workers if possible. I mean, not lose your attacking units if possible. In this case, I did lose the Hellion drop for not quite what was necessary, and I take my expansion once I realize that it's safe, start producing siege tanks, get 2 bunkers out front. With this type of build, I have a few more Marines, and that helps me defend various timing pushes. And I also get an orbital command for more mineral influx. So I'm kind of experimenting a little bit with this build, and I'm always trying to change Mech for the better, always trying to improve. As I face more consistent players, it makes it easier to find the weaknesses in my build than people who only see it once. So now that I am in High Grandmaster, I face several people multiple times over, and it really allows me to see the weak points and where I can change things up. So far, this is what I'm kind of testing out. One of the things you want specifically is double upgrades, so I get double upgrades this game. I've been experimenting a lot with just getting armor, with just getting attack, but so far I'm a big fan of getting double upgrades, and that's what I'm going to stick with. I'm also making another command center. I'm going to transfer it over to my 3rd base to be a planetary fortress. This way I still have 3 orbital commands for 3 mules. So continuing the harass, kind of dropping into his base. I probably shouldn't have dropped in here, but I decided, I can try to skirt the outside edges. Takes out the medevac. Trying to get a few more workers here. Now, I feel relatively safe about losing these Hellions because I have siege tanks, bunker, and Viking back at home. So as long as I'm not trading more units than I think I can defend with. Moving my command center over. getting the gas geysers right away. It's kind of one of the more important parts now that I have 3 orbitals. Using a little bit more Hellion harass. And then using a bit of Raven harass, you know, to get throwing out 2 secret missiles. In this case, he saw it. Most of the time, they don't. And this allows me to get like anywhere in between 1 to 15 kills from the Raven. So that's quite nice. Once you have your 3rd base, you want to establish a turret ring. You know, one of the things that, you know, earlier today that killed me on stream was a War Prism drop / harass that dropped Dark Templar. You know, this is not something you want to happen. I face it quite a lot, and I just got kind of really put far back behind in the game, and I wasn't able to get my turret ring in time. But you know, one of the timings that I've really picked at is once my 3rd is down, put a turret ring, because otherwise my units won't be split up so far, so I can afford to have like 1 or 2. So I'm transferring my extra orbital over to another base. I'm trying to sneak this expo for the extra gas and the extra minerals, and in this game it does work out. Once you're on 3 to 4 base, you do want to go up to about 6 factories. You want 3 tech labs, 3 reactors. The most of your backbone of your army, like you know, is the Hellbat. The Hellbats absorb a lot of shots from Zealots, from Stalkers, from Immortals. Archons are pretty good at them, against them. Storm is pretty good against them, which is why you still want a decent number of Siege Tanks. You can split them up, maybe throw in some Medevacs. But you do need a good amount of Hellbats as a buffer. Not for the damage, but as a buffer. They provide a huge amount of damage, and they do stop the Zealots from reaching the tanks, so that's always a plus. Moving out, you know, you can see my economy is booming. I'm getting quite a bit. I know where his army is. I'm kind of scanning, so I know how long I have to get into position. So I feel relatively safe. I was sieged up before he attacked. You can see that my Hellions are, my Hellbats are buffering pretty well. Hunter Seeker Missile goes down on his army, and he loses quite a bit of units. I believe I end up winning this engagement. Yes, I do. So the reason why this was great is that yes, the Mech army is hard to replace, but so are massive amounts of Templar and Colossi, which means that now there are less Colossi. I'm going to need less Siege Tanks. I'm going to need less Vikings. So I don't have to quite make as many, so I can make Raven and extra Hellbats, and you can see that I was making 6 Hellbats, 2 tanks, and a Raven, and then throwing in 2 Vikings here and there. You know, at this stage I can also begin Medevac production. I'm kind of positioning myself to secure the space. I wasn't worried about losing it because I knew I'd be able to reach there in time, and you want to always expand towards the point of where you're attacking. So my next goal is to attack on the right side of the map. Previously was to attack on the left side of the map. So you can see why I chose to expand in these different directions. Now if he goes around my army and he takes out the left side of the maps, well, those minerals aren't quite as fresh and have had my field, and I probably don't want to replace that right away. I want to take the right side of the map anyway because those are more fresh minerals. But now I am sending a planetary fortress to the bottom left, you know, one of his side of the map bases, and that will allow me to defend the one right above it a little bit easier because I'll have a telltale sign that something is coming. I'm also putting a planetary fortress in the middle of the map, and this helps me lock down an area a little bit better, slow down his pushes, maybe if there's a base race. You know, and you can see me trying to defend a drop here and there. One of the great way to defend drops and know they're coming is watchtowers, so I'm going to put one up in a moment. I'm putting down 2 missile turrets. This also helps slow down Colossi, helps slow down, maybe there's an air switch, a void ray, from taking out a planetary fortress. You know, you don't want that. I'm also getting the mine because I'm starting to think, you know, I'm starting to prepare for void rays, for an air transition. The Widow Mine is great, and if it doesn't have Colossi or Storm, the Widow Mines are also great against the ground army, but they're pretty good against the air army. Building armor for the planetary fortress, this makes it harder. I'm moving preemptively all my workers out of there. It makes it harder for the buildings to die, but I'm moving my workers and stuff out of there preemptively in my command center, and I see him coming in on the mini-map. You know, he's trying to take it out, but I'm already out of there mining on the complete opposite side of the map. And this is kind of turning into a little bit of a base race. I have the right side of the map locked down a little, transferring workers out, moving orbital commands, trying to save as many bases as I can for maybe, you know, scans, more SCV production. I'm repairing this planetary fortress. I know I won't be able to get it quite out in time. I was going to try to come and save it, but he was sniping SCV, so I decided to come back. Now, by delaying it, I'm actually able to, you know, kill an Archon or two, and then at the same time, you know, with his base race, he's stuck in that position while I'm actually taking out his infrastructure. He can't push up my ramp. I transfer my SCVs back to the left side of the map, so if he attacks the right, I still have a mining base. And he's got one in the bottom left corner, but he's got no more gateways, or he's got a few, but he's about to be out of gateways. My upgrades are finishing. I'm still producing back home because I had a pretty considerably large bank, and I'm trying to get out as many units as I can. So I see that he's expanded over there, and I decide, you know what, you can't rebuild your army, I can. I might as well move out on the map. If I'm attacking on the left, I can mine from the right, and I can keep you busy while I mine more units while you're stuck trying to rebuild your infrastructure. So I'm positioning my army to attack to the left side, and then I move my SCVs from the right to my natural second base. And, you know, he does decide to pull back, so I drop mules over there and rally over there while I take out this left side of the map. Now I can see that he's coming in for attack, so I preemptively siege, trying to, you know, hold my position, trying to figure out exactly where he's coming up, get the Hunter-Seeker missiles going up, and send the Hellbats in the first. You can tell that this army is going to die. You know, we've got 400 Seeker missiles going in. The Archons have 350 health. Each Seeker missile does 100 damage. You know, each one of these Archons right here is going to have their shields almost completely obliterated, and then, you know, there's, excuse me, a lot of siege tank fire on these Archons. And then it's just going to be the Colossi, so it's going to be relatively easy to take out this army. He had no money left, I was 100 supply ahead. So, this is a Terran against Protoss mech game, and if you enjoy these, please feel free to tune in and watch more of my games. Thank you.